The Tarkwa District Court has remanded into police custody 4 of the 5 suspects alleged to have been involved in the armed robbery attack in which a police officer was killed in Tarkwa. 900,000 cedis belonging to a mining logistics firm, Plate & Plume, was stolen by the robbers. The police say a 5th suspect who was leading investigators to the location the booty was said to have been stashed was shot and killed while trying to escape. Tarkwa Divisional Crime Officer Superintendent Kwabena Otu Echampong has been explaining the circumstances leading to the killing of Frederick Mensah, aka Nana One.
One has been shot.
Yes, very usual of investigations. These suspects in our custody have been assisting us in further inquiry. So this suspect, Frederick Mensah alias Kobi alias Nana K, he was 32 years. He was taking investigators around on inquiries on information that's provided. In one of such inquiries, he tried escaping and every attempt to rearrest him wasn't successful. So he was shot and he was sent to the government hospital in Tarkwa, but died later there.
But since he played a key role in assisting you in your investigation, is this not going to affect your investigation?
Well, this suspect was a self-confessing. He was the most self-confessing among all the suspects we have arrested. He has provided investigators with a lot of information and details as to how the robbery was planned, where it was planned, the people who took part in the planning, and how it was executed, the roles that were assigned to each of the conspirators. So he has given us a statement. So I don't think it will affect our further investigations that much.
Are you sure you are going to get the others? And who are those on the run?
Those on the run, we have 3 who are coming from Tarkwa community. They are Kokuminta, Mugabe, and David Jambil. And we are told there are 5 other people who came from outside Tarkwa to join them. Those 5 suspects, we don't have their details, but we are confident that when we arrest any of these 3 who are at large, it will lead us to the arrest of the others who came from outside Tarkwa to commit the robbery and murder.
27 suspected criminals have been arrested by the Kasoa Divisional Police Command in a swoop on Friday. The suspected criminals, according to the police, sell fake mobile phones to the unsuspecting public. This is the second swoop in 1 week in Kasoa, where police say they are determined to rid off criminals. Richard Kojonyako joins us with more. Hello, Richard. Now, what have the police been telling you about the swoop?
Well, the police say this is one of several swoops they intend to use to flush out criminals from the region, most especially Kasoa. You know, the Kasoa area has been a hotspot for a lot of criminal activities. You know, the population keeps rising by the minute, and so the activities of the criminals have also gone up. Today, what happened was that the Kasoa District Police Command arrested 2 suspects in connection with the murder of a Nigerian man shot at Kasoa. That happened on Wednesday, and so today they decided to organize a swoop, and this swoop arrested 27 of these suspects. So they addressed the media. They retrieved tramadol, they retrieved other items and implements they use in the operations at that place. And so that is really what happened today at Kasoa.
Thank you. As a follow-up to our Sunday swoops, where we had 135 suspected criminals, and after screening, 85 were sent to court, and they are on remand to reappear on the 14th of this month. Yesterday, we organized another one again, that is swoop at Kasoa High Tension, and where we had 27 of suspected criminals. And we had on them assorted phones, pliers, knives, and so on. We are here to screen them, and those that are connected to any crime already, and those who are also there without any purpose, will put them before court for the court to look at them. We are doing this thing, this series of swoops to destabilize the criminals in Kasoa. As you know, Kasoa is now the overpopulated area, or people are settling in Kasoa, over 50 people settling in Kasoa every week. And that is the verification we had from the planning department of the assembly. So we'll continue to do this intermittently to ensure that people with good minds within the Kasoa will have their free way to do their business.
Elsewhere, Accra High Court has given the Licensed Cocoa Buyers Association of Ghana 3 days to file additional arguments. This is with regards to the association's legal suit seeking to prohibit the multimedia group from broadcasting a story detailing how the country's cocoa farmers are allegedly cheated in the purchase of their produce. The documentary, which was due for broadcast in February this year, has been on hold following the court suit by the cocoa buyers, who have described the publication as, quote, containing unfair and unverified allegations of crime made against the companies, unquote. The court on Friday adjourned hearing of the case to May 18. There is more in the following report.
It was the expectation of lawyers for the Multimedia Group Limited that the court will on Friday at least fix a date to deliver its ruling. But that did not happen, as the lawyer for the produce buying companies, Charles Tete, informed the court that they needed some more time to file responses to the application made by the Multimedia Group, asking that their injunction application be set aside entirely. Lawyer for the Multimedia Group, Samson Ladi Ayenini, told the court that he was of the opinion that formed part of efforts by the produce buying companies to delay the broadcast of the documentary that has been on hold for at least 3 months since the legal action against the broadcaster was initiated. But the lawyer for the produce buying companies, Charles Tete, disagreed, as he insisted that they simply wanted to follow due process. The court adjourned hearing to the 18th of May, saying that if lawyers on both sides are able to take 3 days each to file their supplementary arguments, the court may deliver a judgment on that day, or at least adjourn to a short notice to deliver its ruling. Reporting for Joy News from the Law Court Complex, my name is Joseph Akable.
Investigations by the Pharmacy Council have revealed wanton abuse of codeine cough syrup by Ghanaian youth. In some instances, officials in Kumasi say they found some abusers combined codeine doses with tramadol. National Registrar of the Council, Audu Rauf, blames the situation on chemical shops which sell prescription drugs in contravention of the law. He says such persons must desist from the practice. Erastus Asari Donko reports.
25 pharmacy shops and 52 over-the-counter operators are due to be hauled before a disciplinary committee soon in connection with the sale and distribution of narcotic painkiller tramadol. About 35 of the over-the-counter sellers have been found to be stocking and selling the drug. The revelation prompted the Pharmacy Council to organize a public education forum for over 800 drug shops in the Ashanti region. Narcotic painkiller, tramadol, and other abused drugs are sold in hideouts known as ghettos, drinking bars, and on the street by peddlers in contravention of existing regulations. Combined doses of 125 to 300 milligrams of the prescription drug have been found to be taken with caffeinated beverage and marijuana. Mr. Rauf says the Pharmacy Council has started engaging the security agencies for SUPS to clamp down on illegal dealers.
So from the ministry point of view, all the stakeholders, the FDA, Food and Drug Authority, the NACOP, Pharmacy Council, we are having a serious engagement periodically. In fact, weekly we meet to strategize. Initially, we're not having a strong legislative instrument or penalty codes for the police to stand on and prosecute. But for now, Pharmacy Council have developed everything and handed over to the police. Very soon, a lot of facilities that are caught in the act are facing disciplinary committee very soon. Pharmacies and over-the-counter facilities. They will be hauled to the disciplinary committee of Pharmacy Council to answer questions. Depending on the gravity, some could even lose their licenses. In fact, in the law, or the regulation, you can even be sentenced.
Christian Kwao is the Ashanti Regional Manager of the Pharmacy Council.
Codeine is abused in Ghana, and that is some of the things that we've picked on the ground when we went talking to the youth.
Any further details? How it's been abused? Who is abusing it?
The youth especially. And codeine comes in the form of cough syrup, and they call it gutter water. They take it, they ingest it, high dosage, and then they get a high feeling. Some even go as far as mixing it with the tramadol so that they get another effect altogether. And it is a system, it is something that is real and is happening in Ghana.
Where did you find this? Which areas?
Like I told you, we tried to move to our backyard Bantama. We spoke to the youth, and then we spoke to our students from tertiary institutions, our students from the second cycle institutions, and they gave us a lot of information on that. Now we have spoken about tramadol, but it's not only about tramadol. We know of other products that are being seriously abused, and we might not know which will pop up.
What are these drugs, other drugs?
We know of codeine, which is being abused. It used to be ephedrine that was being abused, and we don't know what else might pop up.
Meanwhile, Regional Chairman of the Association of Over-the-Counter Medical Practitioners, George Obriyeboa, says members found culpable will not be shielded.
They are going to be sanctioned. And if you are being sanctioned like this, I don't think the amount they are quoting right now, even you have that stock, that amount in your shop. So if you are going to be fined like this huge amount, how are you going to continue to do your work? So that this will be, it will be unpleasant for them, and those who are now heading of this news, they will desist from it. I don't bother they are going to be punished, because I've been warning them several times.
Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaridonko, Kumasi.
We're taking a break here on Joy News Prime, but still ahead in the bulletin. Acting General Secretary of the governing New Patriotic Party, John Boadu, reacts to recent reports about tensions between the party and the Asantehene and points accusing fingers at the opposition National Democratic Congress.
At the campaign of the NDC since 1992 is an attempt to bring a wedge between the Achims and the Asantes and the Gans.
Ashanti chiefs have meanwhile vowed to deal with any attempts to run down the Asantehene. Would have that story coming up after the break. Stay tuned. Authorities at the Ejunasi Rehabilitation Center in Kumasi say they are having to depend on the benevolence of philanthropists for the upkeep of the 78 persons with special needs they have, because government is yet to release the state subvention due them. The center, each quarter, is entitled to 1,000 Ghana cedis after the subvention was increased from 300 cedis last year. Training of both the physically and mentally challenged inmates, many of whom have been neglected by relatives, has become a Herculean task for the managers. As the labour firm's Erastus Asaridonko reports, the authorities there are, however, hopeful they would someday be able to commercialize the traditional artifacts training they offer so they can become more viable.
These inmates, some of them children with low brain development, were picked from other care homes, having been abandoned by their parents. Many have been left to their fate because they are considered a burden, though they are endowed with various forms of intellect with potential to develop. My family saw me as a sick person, but I'm not sick. After unsuccessful attempts to get help, they gave up and they brought me here. I wasn't born blind. It was in the course of life that I got sick. After a series of operations, I became totally blind.
just 1 month. Now for them be yet totally brand cry.
Contrary to the general societal negative perception and tagging of people with special needs, these inmates have proven with time they have working skills. At the Rehabilitation Center's traditional artifacts training facility, which is begging for support to make it commercial, the inmates design and sew assorted products. Some even play musical instruments to the amazement of visitors. However, money to buy materials for their work is unavailable to enhance training. The Ejunase Rehabilitation Center home has hosted some of them for as long as 10 years, and they appear to have nowhere to go. Cost of feeding and general care is huge, but the facility for a long time lived on government subvention of 300 cedis a quarter. It was recently adjusted upward to 1,000 cedis. But even then, nothing has hit the accounts so far this year. Modesto Ayiwole is caretaker.
In our case, it depends on how much government has released to the national, the headquarters, and the little that they can also give out of it that they give. And so last year, I had a total of 2,500 Ghana cedis for the year, which I had 75 children.
All with disabilities?
Yes. And this 2,500 was an appreciation over the past years.
How much have you received in the past years?
Pardon me?
How much have you received in the past year?
It fluctuates. In a quarter, you get about 300 Ghana cedis.
The quarter is 3 months?
3 months, yes.
300 Ghana cedis?
Yes.
So this year, have you received any?
This year, we are yet to receive.
Meanwhile, a student of Christian Service University College in Kumasi, like many others on whose benevolence the center lives, has reached out to inmates with a donation. Here is Twahir Abubakar.
We can do better. I think whenever we have such people in our midst, we should try and invest in them instead of trying to see them as a burden to society or burden to the family. Like he rightly indicated, these guys are doing a lot and they are doing marvelously here.
Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaridonko, Kumasi.
Now, it appears the dust is far from settling on the Asantehene Otumfuose Tutu's outrage over attempts by some persons within government to pitch a chimps against Asantes. Acting General Secretary of the governing New Patriotic Party, John Boadu, together with other leading members, had to kneel before the Asantehene to plead after he threatened to deal with some persons in the party he says were out to undermine his authority. Speaking on Ekusiseng on our sister station Asempa FM, John Boadu accused the NDC of fueling the agenda to pitch a chimps against the Asantes. According to him, the NDC, while in power, put together a plan in collaboration with national security to execute the agenda. We'll hear from him shortly. But earlier, Bantamahene Bafo Owusu Amankweti VI, in an interview with him in Teria, said Asanteman will resist any attempts to run down the Asantehene.
MPP officials were at the Menchia Palace to pay homage to the Asantehene, Otumfuo Osei Tutu II. Acting General Secretary John Boadu sought Otumfuo's blessings in his bid to secure confirmation as General Secretary of the NPP. Led by Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah, the executives fell on their knees to apologize to the Asantehene. Asante chiefs are unhappy about what they say is VAR campaign to run down the Asantehene and his kingdom. Bafo Owusu Amankwetiya, the C's spokesperson.
We heard Otumfuo yesterday, what happened at Menchia. I mean, it speaks volumes of whatever has been happening. But this is an issue that everybody knows about. And I believe that the time has come for Nananom to call a spade, because we believe that Otumfuo doesn't collect taxes in Ghana. Taxes are collected by the government, and these taxes are supposed to be used to improve infrastructure in the country. We are saying that we are not getting our fair share. So if you sit somewhere and think that it's Otumfuo who has to repair roads, and for that matter, you can go about saying anything about Akin, it's something that we will never tolerate. So I think what happened at Menchia yesterday, I mean, we think that Otumfuo has spoken, and he has, expressed his feeling on this matter in a very, very serious manner. And I hope that people are going to take cue and going to show the respect that is due Menchia.
He also hit back at critics who accuse Otumfuo of doing little to develop Ashanti region. He says despite funding constraints, the Asantehene has made strides in education infrastructure, teacher support and scholarship for the needy across Ghana. Bafo Amankwetiya says it is unfair to demand so much from the king who taxes no citizen.
Our king is above all these things. Then I don't know what that person is talking about. Look at the contribution that is done for education. Because of Otumfuo, so many people who couldn't get money to go to school, to pay for their school fees, Otumfuo, through his education fund, has made these things possible. Putting up buildings, all these things Otumfuo is doing out of his own pocket. So what do you want him to do again?
From Kumasi for Joy News, Ohimenteria.
Now, the acting General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, John Boadu, has been explaining how he ended up kneeling before the Asantehene.
Well, it is a normal political rounds that, for instance, in Ashanti region, which is the heart of our party, really. We are opening nomination a day after, and I was there. And I took the opportunity to inform the Asantehene, who is the king of the Ashantis, about my intention to contest as General Secretary. He also received me nicely and even traced the history of our party and the contribution that Santiman has done towards the development of our party. In the course of his speech, he expressed concern about some issues that he feels that are not going well, according to him. And in our traditional setting, if an elderly person is lamenting in the manner he did, there's no point in even arguing or even trying to seek further explanation or clarity into what he said. So we quickly, as traditional demands, have to plead for clemency or plead for him to calm down. And being who he is, he accepted the plea and moved on, and that brought the meeting to an end.
I see, and that was why because we were told that you were on your knees for close to 45 minutes. That could have been a serious issue.
So when you had the tape, weren't you able to determine whether we were on our knees for 45 minutes or not? How many minutes did even the whole program transpire? You had tape, so you should be able to determine how long was the tape. For instance, it wasn't like that. It was just a brief moment, just about some seconds that we pleaded, and it's normal. For instance, when I went to Bupe and visited the Bupeura. You can't even enter with your sandals, and most of his subjects have to even kneel down. And these are normal cultural practices that we all do. If you want to plead for mitigation of an issue before the Asante, that's exactly what you do.
He then accused the opposition National Democratic Congress of being behind attempts to drive a wedge between the Asante and the governing New Patriotic Party.
They are stuck in trade, like I told you. In 2016, they doctored a document like that through national security and got deceived Ben Efson to believe that it's a research document that is coming from our end. I challenge Ben Efson, and he has to withdraw and apologize to the New Patriotic Party. And if you look at the campaign of the NDC since 1992, it's an attempt to bring a wedge between the Achims and the Asantes and the Gans and Kwaus and the Asens and the Bronze and the Hafus. This is something they do consistently. So you see that with this just off the cuff discussion that went on, they've taken it as if the world is coming to an end or hell is falling on the earth. You understand? So it's their game plan, and they are so happy about it. You've been doing this thing for years, and you are not getting results. You continue to do it, you know.
Do you have any evidence to support?
I've given you specific example.
Document to show that indeed it's the NDC who are fueling them?
I'm saying that I've given you a specific example, and I have document that was authored by the National Security then in 2016.
But it doesn't mean that what's happening now, they have a hand in it. I mean,
no, I am not saying so. I'm saying that it is their stock in trade. They love to see these kinds of things. So that's it. I'm not accusing them of being the ones who orchestrated it. But they are feeding on it, and they are so happy.
Hello everyone, welcome to Business on Joy News Prime. Pharmaceutical company Intravenous Infusions Limited has recorded significant growth in 2017 with revenue increasing by over 55%. The company is attributing a strong performance to the decision to reorganize its business units. At its annual general meeting held in Accra, Intravenous Infusions revealed it made a little over 6 million Ghana cedis more in revenue and profit after tax of over 2.7 million Ghana cedis compared with 2016. Earnings per share also increased by over 300%. Managing Director of the company, David Kluche, explains what contributed to the good performance.
We kind of strategize to look at all the options, look at the product offerings, and look at the segments, how we could segment them and then focus on it. So after our own internal strategizing, we came out that we have to separate the business into two business units, the large volume and the small volume injectables, and focus on each one to bring out the strength of each one. And that was part of the strategy that we did. And then look at other internal IT infrastructure and things that could give you real-time information to be able to turn around your business.
The improved performance has, however, not been without some challenges, including inadequate working capital caused by delays in payment of claims to hospitals and other facilities by the National Health Insurance Authority.
When we sell, the reimbursement comes through the NHIA to the hospital to us directly, or to the regional medical stores, which then comes to us. Where there's a delay in receiving money from the National Health Insurance to the hospital, then that affects us. So as we speak now, there has been some delays in payments to us, and it's ranging up to about a year in some regions, which means that we have to find the finance to keep the factory going, right? And it becomes more expensive for us because I've got money which the government owes me, but I still got money. I have to go and borrow money to do because I'm not getting my receivables.
Intravenous Infusions hopes to consolidate its performance in the coming years. In 2015, the company became the fourth equity to list on the Ghana alternative market. In line with its initial public offering, Intravenous Infusions would not pay dividend to shareholders for now. The board would consider a dividend policy for 2018 and beyond. Energy expert Kojo Poku says the comment by the Energy Minister Boakye Jacob that the Tema Oil Refinery would be turned into a tank farm after new refineries have been constructed in Ghana will affect investor confidence. Managing Director of the Tema Oil Refinery Thursday reacted to the comment, and he said past problems of the company must not be used to judge its future. Sharing his thoughts on the marketplace, energy expert Kojo Poku said the comment made by the minister at the ongoing Offshore Technology Conference in Houston, Texas, was unfortunate.
Miscommunication. I think there should be a meeting between the management and board of TOR and the sector minister, because TOR as a company, and I'm repeating again, TOR is a company that has its own board, and they have their own plans. They have plans to build a new 100,000 barrels per day refinery next to the old one. They are not trying to basically say that, look, we are going to scrap the old one. They are doing the maintenance and retrofitting the existing to do the 60,000 barrels a day. But they have plans to also merge the old refinery with a new refinery to do 100,000 barrels per day. So TOR as a company have their own plans. If government wants to build another plant or another refinery in the Western region, that should be something completely different from the plans that TOR as a company has. So that's why I'm saying that, to me, I would advise both parties to have a meeting and trash this thing out, because it keeps coming up in the media and it's not healthy for investor confidence.
Very well. Now, quickly before you go, making such statements on an international platform like what is currently going on in the US, would it not affect investor confidence in future?
No, it has. It will. And it has already. The damage has been done. And that's why I'm saying that there's the need to address the situation, because OTC, and as I speak to you, the management of TOR is in OTC with the minister. So for the minister to make that statement at OTC when the management of TOR is there trying to get investors to invest in TOR as it is, because bear in mind, no matter what we do, we cannot just scrap TOR. It's a company that needs to survive, because you're going to scrap it so that the 1,000 people that work there to do what? You're going to build a new refinery to employ the 1,000 that works at TOR. We are trying to increase employment, not increase unemployment.
Some news from the Ashanti region, and officials of the Ghana Revenue Authority have removed goods without excise tax stamps off the shelves of shops in the regional capital. The exercise was to enforce the rollout of the implementation of the tax stamp policy. The Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Kofi Nti, earlier at a press conference charged consumers to desist from buying products without excise tax stamps embossed on them.
And that's how I know about it. And the issues of boycotting products, I think that's the up to word. Ghanaians must boycott products without a tax stamp. And instead of this thing, as you interact with people, you begin to get core messages that you have to go forward with. And for me, in our next going forward, we will make that message clear. That Ghanaians should boycott products that should have tax stamp, and yet they don't have them. So, Madam, thank you for the education. We go along with that boycott thing. Then we are saying that the going after enforcement is a sustained process that we are adopting. So that we take it out, until we come and go, then they have their field day, and then it's like we do it haphazardly, and one off. No. We want to sustain the processes. And the GRA offices in the various regions and then cities and towns are supposed to do the follow-ups. So we will be giving them the strength and the capacity to do the follow-ups, so that we sustain it and people do not take advantage of it.
In other news tonight, government has begun discussions with the Chinese Export Credit Guarantee for the implementation of the flagship One District, One Factory program. The facility, when successful, will help investors seeking to procure equipment from China for the establishment of various factories, get flexible financing support from the government of China. Here's Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Robert Ahom-Kalinse.
The government role is to facilitate our businesses by offering options. We offer options. One of the options is working with our local banks, and as I said, they've committed 2.5 billion cedis towards this. Another option is continuing working, and my minister is working very closely to carve out a program where we get Chinese export credit guarantee. Let me explain what that is. Our businesses want equipment, and the equipment may be coming from China. So the Chinese government offers a guarantee, offers financing, which we have then to support here to engage. But it's not just China. So we continue in that dialogue, and some of that, our minister made various pronunciations on that. We also have similar arrangement with Italy. The Italian government has the same thing. You would have read, I hope you picked up, about a week ago, the British have increased the export cover from about 170 million pounds to 500 million pounds. That is, again, offering options to our industry. So please, government roles provide the options available. Ours is not to tell the companies, you will go and take this from X, because that is not the role. The companies make much better decisions on resources than we can do. So we offer those options. We're having similar discussions with the Americans. I was at the US EXIM 2 weeks ago, and we hope to have some positive coming through. We'll continue to have similar dialogue with the Canadians. We're having similar dialogue with the Indians. So this is all part of the facilitation we do as a government. But at the end of the day, it is facilitations and options. No one route is going to fit everything.
And that's all in business. The news continues after this break.
It took the intervention of the Foreign Affairs Minister on an unannounced visit to the passport office on Friday for 2 applicants to finally receive passports they applied for in December last year. Officials at the passport office during the minister's visit explained this was as a result of several challenges they say militates against the prompt delivery of the travel document. Shelia Yokoboche, who expressed disquiet about the backlog of passport applications, said government is hoping to establish additional passport processing centers at Tema and the Eastern Regional Capital Koforidua to ease pressure on the 2 centers in Accra. There's more in this report.
The Foreign Affairs Minister's first port of call was the Tema Station branch of the passport office. This venue is always a scene of anxious applicants waiting to be issued with their passport after going through the system. Lack of confidence in the process has led many to part with huge sums of money for passport, which officially cost 50 Ghana cedis. Shelia Yokoboche was briefed by officials of the passport office about the challenges facing the sector.
So you see, that is why they come at 2 a.m. Because if you can only process 100 applications a day, the rest will have to go back, isn't it?
Somehow, if we're able to expand it from 100 to 200 at least, to help to capture in more people on daily basis, in addition to that.
What do you need? You need more people?
No, we need a few equipment, yes,
so
yes.
Here is not the problem. Here you are able to handle more than 100.
No, that's not the problem. That's not the problem, yes. We need a few more equipment.
At the Ridge office of the passport office, similar stories were told by the officials. For them, if the online registration and processing of passport is strictly adopted, it will help eliminate middlemen and speed up the process. The minister's intervention also came as good omen for 2 individuals who have been chasing the passport office for their passport since December last year.
I bought Express, that's 100 cedis. That would be exactly 2 weeks. So when I bought the forms, I came here for them to give me my particulars. I give them my information, everything. And they told me I should come the next month, 20th of March. I came, they said, okay, to print. I should come next 2 weeks. I came another time, that was on the 17th of last month. They came and said, okay, to print. So I should come back 2 weeks later, and now I'm here. They are not telling me anything.
It's almost 3 months.
Almost 3 months for my passport, because I didn't get anybody to pay this amount of money to. That's why they are, I don't know.
Joy News is learning over 60,000 passports remain uncollected. Shelia Yokoboche is, however, unhappy with the lack of prosecution of foreigners who attempt to acquire Ghanaian passports.
I hope and pray that those whose passports are lying there. I'm sure some of them are saying that we went through so much, so we won't even bother. Please, if you can, the passports are here. Come and collect.
She also announced plans to extend the expiration of the Ghanaian passport from the current 5 to 10 years to conform with international standard.
I know that we are probably the only country that is printing passport with a duration of 5 years. It was as a short temporary measure, interim measure. We are going to go back to the 10 years, and that I can assure Ghanaians, so that you don't have to go through too many problems within short periods.
There was wild jubilation in Wa following the announcement of the reinstatement of the Upper West Region Minister Suleiman Al-Hassan. Suleiman Al-Hassan was suspended on February 1 over reports he ordered the release of some ruling party sympathizers who attacked the regional office of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO. A committee set up by the president to investigate the matter exonerated the minister. Joy News Upper West Region correspondent Rafiq Salam reports supporters of the MPP and close relations of the minister have been jubilating over his reinstatement.
Few minutes after the statement of the reinstatement of the Upper West Regional Minister, Alhaji Suleiman Al-Hassan was released, supporters, friends and close relations of the minister started gathering at the regional secretariat of the MPP. Some of them clad in party colors and others in white apparel, riding their cars and motorbikes, tooting their horns, went round some principal streets in the Wa municipality. They again converged at the party office to hold a press conference to thank the president for lifting the suspension of the Upper West Minister, Alhaji Suleiman Al-Hassan. Isaac Johnson Bafina is the spokesperson of the group.
We wish to use this opportunity to thank His Excellency the President for the reinstatement of our beloved, most respected and most cherished regional minister, Honorable Alhaji Al-Hassan. Justice indeed has been served.
Wa Central Constituency Secretary of the MPP, Osman Abdul Hamid, said the reinstatement of the regional minister showed that the president is listening to the cry of the people.
When this misfortune befell the minister, there was not a single person in the region that was happy with the situation. But I think now, upon several requests and then appeal to the president has exhibited beyond every reasonable doubt that the president is really a listening president. Because if you could see in Upper West region today, the magnanimity and the euphoria that grounds almost everywhere, and the environment in the Upper West region today, you could see that almost all party faithfuls, party grassroots members, and any ordinary member who is in this region is showing that joyous moment at this moment.
On behalf of colleague elders of the MPP in the Upper West region, Mohammed Alhaji Abdul Haki thanked the president for the kind gesture.
I stand on behalf of the elders to thank the President's Excellency for the job well done. I have nothing to say but to, ask for Allah's guidance. Allah should guide the presidents and give them the wisdom for all what he's been doing.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wa.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Let's listen to this tape.
First word, what do you do? Sammy Crab. Sammy Crab is shocking. Mrs. Sammy Crab, why? Your penny sticker. Sammy Crab. Why would I Sammy Crab? Sammy Crab.
Right, so that's Hajia Fatih, who's a very vocal member of the governing New Patriotic Party, threatening to invoke curses on any member of the party's election committee who dares take a penny from the suspended second vice chairman of the party, Sammy Crab, to allow him to contest, to pick nomination forms to contest the upcoming National Delegates Conference. Now, my colleague Kwesi Parker Wilson was at the party headquarters earlier today, and he witnessed this, and he joins me in the studio to tell us. So, explain to us what are the circumstances under which Hajia Fatih is said to have said this?
Well, Israel, you know that somewhere in 2015, Sammy Crab was suspended from the party by the National Executive Committee together with Kwabena Agyapong and then Paul Afoko. Now, the accusation at the time was that the three were working against the fortunes of the then candidate, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, ahead of the 2016 election. And so, since they didn't want the president, the then candidate, to win, it was a way for them to suspend him.
So, fast forward, we come to the national delegates. There's going to be a contest.
Yeah, to elect their national executive. Yeah. To steer the affairs of the party for the next 4 years.
Says he's
and Sammy Crab had already indicated that he was going to contest as the chairman of the party. So this morning he was at the headquarters saying that, well, he's coming to pick up his nomination form. Now, what happened was that when he came, he brought a banker's draft from the Ghana Commercial Bank. Now, the election committee members told him that they're not going to take the banker's draft, but then they want physical cash. So he had to quickly rush to the bank to get the physical cash, which he did. At the time when he was leaving, that was when we were told that someone phoned Hajia Fatih to tell her that Sammy Crab had come to the party's office to pick up nomination forms. So wherever she was, she came to the party headquarters. So when she came, she was, as you heard, she was yelling that, where is Sammy Crab? Where is Sammy Crab? We don't want his money. We don't want him to contest. He shouldn't pick the nomination form. And so he went to where the committee members went to sit within them, saying that if Sammy Crab walks into the hall, she is going to tear the nomination forms, and then she wouldn't allow Sammy Crab to pick the form and contest. And some members of the party were trying to plead with her to calm her down, that you should allow her to, you know.
So this person is just a vocal member of the party. Right. She doesn't hold office. What right does she have to walk in there and display in such a manner? Well, Hajia, many have known her as a staunch member of the governing NPP. Yes. And if you go to the party headquarters, of course she doesn't. And so it's quite strange that the executives perhaps would even give her that opportunity to do that. But at the time, they were not even around. I should say that the national executives of the party were not even around at the time. It doesn't mean we didn't get any reaction from...
We got a reaction from the acting general secretary, that is John Boadu, on whether or not Sammy Crab was eligible to contest in this election, even though we know that he's on suspension. We can listen to what he's been saying.
Right. He's in an indefinite suspension, that's all that I know. And we have a National Election Committee that is responsible for opening nomination, sale of forms, receiving filled applications, vetting, passing those who are vetted and all that. And I don't have any control over that. So if there's any question to it, you ask the National Elections Committee, they will explain to you.
By the party's constitution, is he eligible to contest in this election? I mean, though he's on suspension.
Is on indefinite suspension.
So he doesn't, he can't contest?
If you are on indefinite suspension and they want a reporter here, can you come and apply? Aren't you a Ghanaian? Aren't you a Ghanaian? Can you come and apply?
Right, so we've made efforts to try to reach Sammy Crab, the suspended second vice chairman of the party. He is unwilling to speak at the moment, but we will continue to try until we get a reaction from him. In other news, President Akufo-Addo says the works of the newly constituted National Labour Commission will be judged by its impartiality and neutrality in the resolution of labour disputes that come before it. The 7-member committee was inaugurated by the President to resolve labour disputes and ensure industrial harmony. Addressing the board, President Akufo-Addo said his government's plan to grow the economy and develop the country will require a peaceful labour front. He charged the board to familiarize themselves with laws governing the labour front.
The significance of the role of organized labor in any prosperous economy needs no emphasis. Its contribution to the growth of competitive enterprises is vital. Organized labor holds one of the keys to the future prosperity of our nation. But inevitably, as in all human undertakings, disputes between the social partners, organized labor, employers, and government, are bound to arise. The need for an impartial arbiter of such disputes is obvious. If we are to generate the serenity on the labor front that will make us reach our goal of rapid development of the economy. You can see then the size of the burden that has been imposed on your shoulders by the Labor Act of 2003, Act 651, and its consequential regulations, LI 1H22 of 2006. You have been chosen to discharge these functions because of your impartiality and integrity. Do not disappoint your well-wishers, which includes me.
Chairman of the reconstituted NLC board, Andrew Kwabena Samwa, pledged the board's resolve to ensure speedy resolution of labour disputes.
I and my colleagues are set to serve on the National Labour Commission. The goal of the Commission is to ensure harmonious relationship between the labour force, the government, including the employers. This is essential for promoting the highest level of labour productivity for the economic development of the country. This, in effect, Mr. President, will support your government's goal of accelerated development on all fronts toward the achievement of your government's vision of Ghana beyond aid in the shortest possible time. Therefore, during my tenure as the chairman, I pledge that the Commission will do its utmost to ensure that the government, the labor force, and all other stakeholders will work assiduously to sustain a peaceful and harmonious relationship.
Now, farmers in Ghana have for years depended on rain to cultivate crops. Whether the planting season starts early or delays is usually determined by when the rains set in. But with irrigation, crops that have become known as seasonal foods could be cultivated all year round. Thanks to an elaborate irrigation system, Integrated Water and Agriculture Development Ghana Limited is able to grow 4 types of grains all year round. Joy News' Adelaide Arthur reports from Yapaga in the Upper East region, where participants of the Cosmos Innovation Center Agritech Challenge have been learning about the company's irrigation system.
Covering 400 hectares of land, the thousands of sorghum and maize plants do not show any sign of wilting, even under the scorching sun here in Yapaga in the Upper East region. All year round, grains such as maize, sorghum, and rice are cultivated and fed with water from nearby Kupon River through an elaborate irrigation system.
Water is pumped from the Kupon River into a reservoir, which is about 18,000 cubic meters volume of water capacity. And water from the reservoir, where we call the booster station, is then pumped to the 4 different irrigation systems. We need to do what we call a dry run.
Participants of the Cosmos Agritech Challenge who are on a market research tour are told the irrigation system is one of its kind in the northern part of the country.
We have the center pivots, 4 of the center pivots. An area under the center pivot is 65 hectares. We have almost about 100 hectares under modified drag line sprinkler system. We have 15 hectares of drip, and then we have 39 hectares of furrow irrigation, mainly flood irrigation for rice.
The company also engages several farmers in the community. One of the outgrowers, Haruna Tido, says he is able to provide food for his family from the profit he makes working on the land he's been given.
You are given a portion of land, seeds, and fertilizer. I cultivated 5 acres of maize and 2.5 acres of rice. I have harvested 90 bags and repaid the company with 75 bags. I then sold 5 bags to the company and took the remaining 10 bags home.
And I'm the 5 bags, I'm the 10 bags coffee.
The farm multiplies seed crops for the Savannah Agricultural Research Institute of the CSIR for redistribution to farmers engaged in government's Planting for Food and Jobs program. The Integrated Water and Agriculture Development Ghana Limited says it is able to support outgrowers and also provide services to the Savannah Agricultural Research Institute thanks to its irrigation system that supplies the right amount of water the crops need.
The limiting factor to production is water, and as in when you provide water, you are ready to kickstart production. So with the irrigation system, we are able to start production sometimes earlier before the rains. So we start with irrigation, we get the rains take over, and then if there's any need for any supplementary rains, we come in with irrigation, and we are able to produce all year round.
Grains from this farm feed several markets and food processing companies across the country. Adelaide Arthur, Joy News, Yapaga.
The Ghana Inshore Fishermen Association has expressed its anger at the skyrocketing prices of marine gas oil used for the operations. The fishermen contend that government only reduces the prices of premixed fuel to favor some fishermen while scaling up the prices for other fishermen. At their annual meeting held at Elmina in the Central Region, the fishermen called on government to reduce the prices of the gas oil and adopt a firmer approach in the fight against illegal methods of fishing. Richard Kojonyako has more.
According to the fishermen, successive governments have not been treating them fairly. They have been left to fend for themselves. This, they say, is collapsing their businesses. At their annual general meeting at Elmina in the Central Region, the fishermen called on government to, as a matter of necessity, reduce the marine gas oil that they use for their fishing business and also support them with fishing inputs.
I am going to losses. Canoe food losses. Now, so I'm going to be the other canoe food not and so I am losses. I am going to own person.
We, the inshore fishermen, pay license. The canoe fishermen don't. Yet when there is any reduction to be made, it is the canoe fishermen that benefits. The canoe fishermen get a lot of benefits. They get outboard motors, subsidized fuel and others. We don't get anything. They don't even give us marine engines. We use car engines for our businesses. In fact, we are not supported in any way. Government has to look at our gas oil. Every time there is an increase in our gas oil, government shouldn't look at only the canoe fishermen. We are also humans. Our marine gas oil has been politicized. Government knows that the canoe fishermen are more than us, so they choose them over us. That is not fair at all. If there are
And in the headlines, Acting General Secretary of the governing New Patriotic Party, John Boadu, has been reacting to recent reports about tensions between the party and the Asantehene and points accusing fingers at the opposition National Democratic Congress. Ashanti chiefs have meanwhile vowed to deal with any attempts to run down the Asantehene. In other news, police shoot and kill one of 5 suspected robbers said to have been involved in a recent armed robbery attack at Bogoso in the Western region. Accra High Court gives Association of Licensed Cocoa Buyers 3 days to file their arguments in the case in which they are trying to prohibit multimedia from broadcasting a documentary on the cocoa sector. Local pharmaceutical company Intravenous Infusions Limited records significant growth in 2017 with revenue increasing by over